Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Always great to be back.
Today we're going to be diving into something that's gotten me, well, kind of excited, actually.
Yeah, this is a good one.
It's N-Acetyl-L-Cysteine.
Otherwise known as NAC.
Yeah, NAC. It's a naturally occurring compound.
Right.
And there's been some buzz around it.
A lot of buzz, actually, especially in mental health circles.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're looking at today, but we're going deep, deep, deep. We get this awesome research review from CNS Drugs.
Published in 2022.
So it's pretty recent, right?
Very recent, very comprehensive.
Which is, I like that. You know, it's not just one study. It's like a synthesis of a bunch of research.
Exactly. A meta-analysis, which gives us a broader perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like NAC is being looked at for, like, everything. But, okay, here's the thing. NAC is not some brand new thing.
No, not at all.
This isn't like some new wonder drug.
It's been around for a while, actually.
Yeah. It's been used for acetaminophen overdose, like, forever.
For decades.
But now researchers are like, wait a minute, there's something more to this NAC thing.
There's a lot more to it. It's got this potential to treat a whole bunch of psychiatric disorders.
Like L-Acetyl.
It's pretty remarkable, the range of conditions that are being studied.
Right. Okay, so before we go down that rabbit hole, let's back up a bit.
Sure.
What is NAC?
Yeah. What is this stuff?
And how does it work in the body?
Okay, so NAC is a precursor to glutathione.
Glutathione, okay.
Yeah. So glutathione is like a powerful antioxidant.
Like the good guys.
Oh, yeah, definitely the good guys. Our cells produce it naturally.
Huh.
And it basically fights off damage from these harmful molecules called free radicals.
Free radicals. Right, I've heard of those. Aren't those like the bad guys?
Yeah, think of them as like little wrecking balls damaging our cells. They contribute to like inflammation and even aging.
Aging.
Right. But glutathione neutralizes them.
Okay, nice.
Disarms those little wrecking balls.
So it's like our body's natural defense system.
Yes, exactly.
And NAC helps us make more of it.
Exactly. It boosts our glutathione levels.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
But there's more.
Oh, there's always more.
It's not just an antioxidant booster. NAC also has anti-inflammatory properties.
Oh, goody.
And get this, it can even modulate glutamate.
Wait, glutamate. Okay, remind me. What was glutamate again?
Glutamate's a neurotransmitter.
Oh, yeah, one of those brain chemicals.
Crucial for brain function. It's all about learning, memory, and mood regulation.
Okay, important stuff.
But too much glutamate, not good.
Too much of anything, I guess.
Yeah, it can be harmful to brain cells.
Oh, so it's like a balancing act.
Exactly, a delicate balance. And that's where NAC swoops in.
Oh, Euro.
NAC modulates it, keeps those glutamate levels in check.
So it's like NAC is preventing that excess.
Excitation.
Excitation, yeah. Which can lead to all sorts of problems.
Yeah, a variety of psychiatric issues.
Okay, so NAC is like this multi-tool for the brain.
I like that. Swiss Army knife for the brain.
Antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, glutamate modulator. Wow. This is sounding like NAC could be like a game changer for mental health.
Well, that's what we're here to explore.
Yeah. And the range of conditions.
It's pretty incredible.
It's mind-blowing. We're talking like neurodevelopmental disorders.
Wait, autism.
Autism, yeah. Schizophrenia.
Bipolar disorder, depression, anxiety.
OCD.
Substance use disorders.
Neurocognitive disorders, like Alzheimer's.
Even chronic pain is being looked at.
It's like, wow, one compound for all of that. So where's the research at now? Is NAC living up to all this hype?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Right.
And this is where things get a little more,
complicated.
Well, yeah, maybe. So preclinical studies, like the ones done in labs and on animals,
Yeah.
they've shown some promising results, but the clinical trials, the ones on humans, they've been a little mixed.
Mix. Oh, so there's a catch.
Well, it's not really a catch. It's more about, like, the scientific process.
Okay.
A lot of the trials so far, they've been pretty small and short.
Ah, so not enough data.
Right. Not enough to give us, like, definitive answers.
So it's like trying to judge a movie based on the trailer.
Exactly. You get a glimpse.
But you're missing the whole picture.
And there's some evidence suggesting that
Yeah.
the NSC's benefits, they might take a while to show up.
Really?
Like even months of treatment.
Oh, wow. Okay, so are these mixed results like a red flag?
Yeah.
Or is it just like part of the science?
It's science. It's a journey, not a sprint.
Right, right.
It doesn't mean NSC doesn't work.
Okay, good.
It just means We need more research.
More research.
Robust research, longer-term studies.
To really figure it out.
Exactly.
And what about side effects? Is this stuff safe?
Yeah, it's generally well tolerated, even at high doses. The most common side effects are like GI issues, nausea, diarrhea, that kind of thing.
Not fun.
No, but as with anything, talk to your doctor.
Especially if you're taking other medications.
Or have any pre-existing health conditions.
Definitely good advice. Don't self-treat people. Get professional guidance.
Right.
Always. So, NAS shows promise, but we need more research.
That's where we're at.
Okay, so where should we focus those research efforts? Where does NAC seem particularly promising?
That's a great question, and that leads us to the heart of this deep dive.
Ooh, I like it.
We're about to explore the current state of the research on NAC and its potential for, well, some very specific conditions.
All right, folks, buckle up. Things are about to get really interesting.
So welcome back.
Back for more.
Right, we were just talking about the mechanisms of NAC,
Yeah, all that antioxidant, anti-inflammatory.
Any glutamate modulating stuff?
The glutamate. That's the one I'm still trying to wrap my head around.
It's complex.
But fascinating.
So remember, NAC might actually be addressing like the core stuff going on in these psychiatric disorders.
The underlying biological processes.
Exactly. Not just masking the symptoms, but actually getting in there and maybe changing things at a deeper level.
Okay, so let's get into some specifics.
Sure.
What about schizophrenia?
Schizophrenia. Yeah.
We talked about the negative symptoms before the break, but can we unpack that a little?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important to distinguish between the negative symptoms and those positive symptoms.
Right. The positive symptoms are the ones everyone usually thinks of with schizophrenia.
The hallucinations, delusions, that sort of thing.
But negative symptoms are different.
Yeah. Negative symptoms are more about like a diminishing of experience.
Oh, okay.
They take away apathy, lack of motivation, social withdrawal.
So it's like you're losing a part of yourself.
In a way, yeah. You might have difficulty experiencing pleasure. Your emotional expression might be flat.
That sounds so hard.
It is. And the thing is, traditional antipsychotics,
The meds they usually use.
yeah, they can manage the positive symptoms,
Okay.
but they don't always do much for those negative symptoms.
So NAC might be able to help with that.
That's the hope. And remember, glutamate,
Yeah, the brain chemical we talked about.
there's this idea that glutamate dysregulation,
Meaning like the glutamate's not working right.
right, that it could be a factor in those negative symptoms.
Oh, interesting. And NAC can modulate glutamate.
Exactly. So the thinking is maybe NAC can help improve these symptoms by getting that glutamate back in balance.
Makes sense.
And some studies have actually shown that, when NAC is added to the regular antipsychotic treatment,
Yeah.
it can lead to some pretty significant improvements.
Really?
In things like motivation, social interaction, and emotional expression.
Wow, to get those things back.
It would be life-changing for a lot of people.
It would. So that's really promising.
It is, and some research even suggests that NAC might go beyond just those negative symptoms. Like, it might actually enhance cognitive function in people with schizophrenia.
What, like make their thinking sharper?
Yeah, like boost memory and attention.
That's amazing.
Of course, we need more research, always more research, but it's a hopeful sign.
Definitely hopeful.
Yeah.
Okay, what about autism? I know we mentioned that earlier.
Autism, yeah. Especially in severe cases, there can be some really challenging behaviors.
I can imagine.
Irritability, aggression, self-injury,
Oh, wow.
even like difficulty with transitions or changes in routine.
It must be so tough for everyone involved.
Yeah, it can be incredibly disruptive. And the treatments we have now, like behavioral therapies and some medications, they don't always get to the root of the problem.
So NEC might offer a different approach.
Maybe a more targeted approach.
Okay, but how? How would NEC actually help with those behaviors?
Well, think back to what we were talking about earlier, the multi-pronged approach of NAC.
The antioxidants, the anti-inflammatory properties.
And the glutamate modulation.
Yeah, the glutamate. Are you saying those mechanisms might be involved in autism too?
Possibly, yeah. Some researchers believe oxidative stress could contribute to how severe the autism is.
Right, the free radicals damaging the cells.
And NAC being a powerful antioxidant.
It might help protect those cells.
That's the idea. And then there's the glutamate piece.
Okay, so how does glutamate play a role in autism?
Well, glutamate's involved in a ton of brain functions.
I talked about that.
But some people with autism might have an imbalance in their glutamate signaling.
And that imbalance could be contributing to those difficult behaviors.
Exactly.
So NAC is stepping in to try and rebalance things.
Like a fine-tuning.
Interesting.
And some studies have shown that NAC can actually reduce those behaviors.
Which ones?
Like irritability, aggression, repetitive behaviors.
Oh, wow. So it's not just suppressing the behaviors.
It seems to be doing more than that.
Right.
Improving emotional regulation, reducing impulsivity.
Those are important for long-term management?
They are. It's about giving them tools to regulate themselves.
Not just trying to control them from the outside.
Right. And it fits with the idea that autism is complex. There are multiple factors at play.
And NAC might be able to address several of them.
At the same time.
That's pretty incredible.
It is. And we're just starting to understand all the ways NAC might be able to help.
Okay, so we've talked about schizophrenia and autism.
Two big ones.
But there are two more we need to cover.
Depression.
Depression.
And OCD.
All right, ready when you are. Okay, so depression and OCD. Let's start with depression. It's such a widespread condition. Finding effective treatments is, like, so important.
It is, and it's complicated, you know? There's so much more to it than just those neurotransmitters we always hear about.
Yeah.
Like serotonin and dopamine.
Right, right. So how does NAC fit into all of this?
Well, we've got to think about oxidative stress and inflammation. Those seem to play a key role in depression, too.
Okay, oxidative stress. Remind me, how does that work again?
So you've got these free radicals. They're constantly bombarding our bodies.
Yeah, the wrecking ball.
And antioxidants. They're our defense system. But when there's too many free radicals and not enough antioxidants to fight them off...
we get oxidative stress.
Exactly. It's like rust accumulating in the body.
Rust. I like that analogy. And that can impact the brain.
Oh, absolutely. It can damage brain cells, mess with neurotransmitter function, all of which can contribute to mood disorders, like depression.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about inflammation? Where does that fit in?
Inflammation is our body's natural response to injury or infection. But when it becomes chronic, low-grade, like a smoldering fire, that's been linked to depression, too.
So we got these two potential culprits, oxidative stress and inflammation. How does NAC address those?
Well, NAC is a powerhouse antioxidant booster.
Right.
Helps our body produce more glutathione.
The master antioxidant.
And it has anti-inflammatory properties, too, so it's like a double whammy, fighting that rust and calming the fire.
Wow, a 2-for-1 deal. I like it.
And then, of course, there's the glutamate piece.
Oh, right. Glutamate. Always got to come back to the glutamate.
It's a key player in mood regulation, and NAC can help modulate those levels.
So it's addressing multiple aspects of depression at the same time.
Exactly. It's not just targeting one specific symptom or neurotransmitter.
Then what does the research say? Is it working?
Well, some studies have shown that when NAC is added to standard antidepressant treatment,
Yeah.
it can actually boost their effectiveness.
Really? So it's like a helper.
Kind of, yeah. It might lead to greater improvements in symptoms, maybe even speed up recovery.
That's incredible, especially for people who haven't found relief with traditional antidepressants.
It could be a game changer for them.
It could. Okay, so we've covered depression. What about OCD?
OCD, another tough one. Those intrusive thoughts, the compulsions. It can be so hard to live with.
It can.
So
how might NAC help with that?
well, there's this idea that OCD involves dysfunction in certain brain circuits.
Which ones?
The frontal lobes, the basal ganglia, the areas that help us plan, make decisions, control impulses.
Right, right. And glutamate might be playing a role there too.
Seems like it. There might be some glutamate dysregulation going on.
So is NAC stepping in to try and rewire those circuits?
Not exactly rewire, more like fine-tune.
Fine-tune, okay.
By modulating the glutamate activity, quieting down those intrusive thoughts, reducing the urge to do those compulsions.
And is that actually working?
Some studies suggest it might be. They've shown NAC can reduce obsessive thoughts and compulsive behaviors in people with OCD.
That's promising.
Mm.
So with all of these conditions, schizophrenia, autism, depression, OCD, it seems like that glutamate connection keeps coming up.
It does, doesn't it?
Is that telling us something? Like maybe there are these underlying biological mechanisms that are shared across all these different disorders.
That's what's so fascinating about this research. It's suggesting that even though these conditions look different on the surface.
There could be these common vulnerabilities.
Exactly. And by targeting those vulnerabilities, we might be able to develop more effective treatments for a whole range of mental health challenges.
That's pretty revolutionary.
It is. It's a shift in how we think about mental health. We're moving away from just focusing on symptoms and starting to understand the deeper biological processes involved.
Peeling back the layers of the onion, as they say.
I like that. And it's opening up new possibilities, new hope for people struggling with these conditions.
Definitely. Now, I know we've said it a bunch of times already.
But it's important.
We need more research.
Always more research. Larger studies, longer-term studies.
To really confirm these findings.
You'd figure out the best doses, the best ways to use NAC.
Absolutely. But even with all of that, it's hard not to be optimistic about the future. NAC is showing us that there's hope, that we're on the right track, that we're getting closer to a future where mental health conditions are less debilitating and more treatable.
I completely agree, and it's been a real pleasure exploring this with you today.
Likewise. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it as fascinating as we did.
And remember, if you're thinking about trying NAC,
Talk to your doctor first.
always get professional guidance.
Until next time, folks, keep those minds curious and those brains buzzing.